So, folks, I have been wanting to talk for the last few days about an article that ran in City Journal titled "Everyone Wants to Know What Gen Z Republicans Think." We asked them. And the subheader of this article, I shit you guys not, is 20 GOP Zoomers on Trump, Hitler, dating, racism, politics, the economy, and more. And I just gotta say, what one of those things is not like the other. Why, you know, I did just put up a video saying Republicans are just Nazis. But like, did it have to be? Did I have to be so accurate so quickly? Like they really dropped Hitler in that. It's true. They asked where we dropping, boys, and they said Hitler. Gen Z conservatives are often portrayed by the media as a cohort radicalized by economic despair. They're depicted as young people priced out of adulthood, lashing out through ideology. That's the picture you get on cable news and on X, reinforced by both liberals and the oddball right. But is it true? We gathered 20 right-leaning Zoomers in a Nashville conference room for a Manhattan Institute focus group. They were mostly Trump voters, overwhelmingly Christian, a mix of college and non-college, ranging from late teens to 20-somethings edging into 30. The general thrust of our discussion was different than what you see online. They were not, for the most part, crushed by economic conditions. Their concerns about housing costs and the economy sounded more like talking points than lived traumas. They had flexibility and mobility and felt little urgency to lock themselves into the life milestones they say they want. Even in a highly religious room, many were less likely to be sprinting towards marriage and family and more likely to be disappointed by the dating market, convinced there just aren't that many serious partners left. And like, okay, let's just go down, all right? Because this is, I'm not gonna lie, a fascinating article, and I'm gonna link it here for you guys to read the full thing on your own time. But let's take a look. Let's take a look. This article's charming as hell, by the way. They do little pictures of like each of the participants. Addie, an 18-year-old Hispanic Baptist Republican woman attending college who considers herself very right-wing, but did not vote in the 2024 election. Addie walked out during the middle of the group. That's the guys, that's the first one. That's the first person on their list. That's the first person in their focus group. Alex, a 28-year-old white high school graduate who worked. Can I okay, just I had to pause there because it feels really weird to see someone described as a 28-year-old high school graduate. It makes it sound like he just graduated like this year. Like this was some like he got held back for 12 years, guys. It's okay. It's good God. Who works as a property manager. He is a non-denominational Protestant. Allie, a 28-year-old white Baptist stay-at-home mom of two, with one more on the way, whose highest level of education is trade school. She is Republican. Andrew, a 20-year-old white Christian landscaper who considers himself very right-wing and voted for Trump in 2024, but isn't sure he'll vote in the next election. Andrew describes himself as a close follower of Nick Fuentes and drove in from rural Tennessee, far outside of Nashville, to participate in this focus group. So they got the Gen Z groypers. So that's, that's great. That probably explains the Hitler. Okay.
This sounds less like a focus group and more like a fuckus group.
It does sound like that, indeed. Ashley, a 29-year-old white Baptist woman who works as a subcontractor renovating homes. She's a high school educated Republican. Atticus, a 25-year-old white non-denominational Protestant man who has attended some college and works in marketing. He's a Republican. Bryce, a 24-year-old white Baptist man. He attended some college and previously worked in security. He is now self-employed as a writer, working primarily on a Star Wars YouTube channel. Oh boy. He is an independent who voted for Trump in 2024. Caleb, a white, they got all the people. They got all every kind of white guy. They got every single one of them, guys. Caleb, a white 29-year-old Baptist Republican. He completed a bachelor's degree and works as an IT trainer for an EV charger manufacturer. Colin, a 19-year-old Christian white Republican student at Vanderbilt. Dawson, a 21-year-old white Republican. He is currently at college studying political science and he interns at his local Protestant church. DC, a 29-year-old white man, is an independent who voted for Trump in 2024. He went to law school and currently works as an attorney. Ethan, a 29-year-old Methodist Republican man who works at as a warehouse manager. He holds a bachelor degree. George, a 29-year-old white service industry professional, has attended some college. He's a Republican. Grant and Madison, a married couple from Pennsylvania and South Carolina, are both Baptist, white, and registered Republican. Grant, 27, completed a postgraduate degree and works in communications. Madison, 23, is currently at school and works at a boutique in her spare time. Jaden, a 22-year-old black man who has a GED and works at Dollar General. He is not religious and considers himself Republican, but did not vote in the last election. Lauren, a 26-year-old creative who has an associate's degree. She is Christian, a Republican, and white. Nate, a 29-year-old white non-denominational Protestant accountant, considers himself a Republican. Sophie, a 26-year-old white non-denominational Protestant woman who has completed an associate's degree and works in healthcare. She is registered as a Republican. Wilkes, a 21-year-old white college student, is a registered Republican. Wilkes plans to move to New York City and work in finance next year. Now, one thing that I just wanted to say about these folks is that what strikes me is how many of them are not just Protestants, but non-denominational Protestants. Because, folks, I guess if you're not, like, in the religion, you might not know. But folks can be, like, Protestant, but not have kind of a clear stance on where they are regarding, like, predestination or free will, or not really knowing what to do about the sacraments. Like, do you do the sacraments? Are they important? Like, I don't know. And, like, they just don't ever really bother looking into that stuff. And, well, it's not that they're not associated with a church, because there are non-denominational Protestant churches. But C.S. Lewis described non-denominational Christians as basically people who are left standing out in the hallway and have yet to choose a room to, like, reside in. Like, it's not, like, it's usually a stance associated with not moderation, but, like, a lack of care. Like, you don't care that much if you don't care enough about your religion to know what part of it you're in,
Me know like the thinky parts of the catechism.
Yeah, it's kind of like, so what's going to be interesting to me as we go through this is how many of these people seem to have been taken in by religious fundamentalism, despite the fact that they don't care enough about their own religion to actually choose, like, a denomination to exist within in Christianity. So a paper or cultural Christian, it's not even a cultural Christian, right? Like, you can be culturally Christian without actually considering yourself like a Protestant or a Catholic, right? Yeah, and that could be it. That could very well be it, depraved ambiance. It's not that they don't know their theology, it's that their theology gets a bad rap, so they want to ditch the label. I mean, it's kind of like people who are like, oh, you paint Republicans with such a broad brush, and it's like, well, no, you just don't like the associations that now has, now that Republicans are doing what they've always wanted to do as policy, So let's, I don't know, let's just take a look at some of these questions. All right, let's skip some of the earlier ones. Like, how is the country doing? Which political or figure or media personality best represents you?
It could also be that they're following their dear leader, in liking all the parts.
That's very true. That's very, very true. I used to agree a lot with Matt Walsh. I think he's very aggressive, but he's pretty close. I think he's very aggressive with the left wing, and I think showing hostility to people on the other side is the wrong thing to do. I think it's perpetuating political tribalism. So I used to agree with a lot of his points, but not his delivery. Yeah, that's Matt Walsh's problem. His problem isn't that he hates gay people. It's how he hates the gay people. That's his problem. Good point, Bryce. Charlie Kirk, I like the core values he held and put forward, putting God first above everything. And that Kennedy guy with the raspy voice. Oh man, guys, Gen Z Republicans, you guys are cooked, man. Charlie Kirk, he's always done a really good job of mixing his religious and family views, but also tying in political views, and he's very well educated. He's just not going off his opinions, he's informed. Charlie Kirk was very famously not educated, just as an FYI. Oh god. Sean Ryan and Charlie Kirk, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and Joe Rogan. Fuck, guys. No. Lauren, no. No. Tucker Carlson, especially after his departure from Fox. I really like Nick Fuentes. I feel like he puts a strong emphasis on social conservatism and Christianity and America first immigration, America first foreign policy. Can I just say, like, I do find it very funny. Like, if you've ever watched a Nick Fuentes video or stream, hearing somebody say that they like Nick Fuentes because of his strong social conservatism and Christianity, and then you listen to what he says about women, where he's just so obviously, like, repulsed by the concept of one.
Discovered your
It's
content
so funny.
3 weeks ago. So good, and am looking forward to watching your channel grow. Enjoy a beer on me.
Brian Wrestler, thank you for the beer. I very much appreciate it. Oh my god. And I do hope the content continues to entertain you and inform you. Oh god, Charlie
Couldn't even put emphasis on Erica first.
guys, Sake Tanuki, thank you for the 2 tier 1 subs, but guys, Benny Benny Johnson. I'm sorry. The media figure you think best represents you is the guy who got caught plagiarizing when working on BuzzFeed listicles and got fired in disgrace for plagiarizing BuzzFeed listicles? Oh, come on. Dog. Oh, Jeffrey Mead or Nick Shirley. Now, not to spoil anything about later on in the stream that's not going to be relevant to this particular segment here. But guys, you all might recall that about 7 months ago, I did a video on Nick Shirley. He is a Gen Z propagandist who got an invitation from the El Salvadoran government to go to El Salvador and glaze their prison system. And this is only going to be relevant because the segment on 60 Minutes that Barry Weiss tried to kill, that segment was about CCOT, the torture concentration camp in El Salvador. Nick Shirley, as part of his tour to try and, like, glaze the prison facilities of El Salvador, was one of the few people who was invited into that facility. And his footage appears in that 60 Minutes segment because he was allowed into what is referred to by prisoners there as the island, which is basically like a solitary confinement cell where the guards then enter every 30 minutes to beat you, and you can stay there for days or even weeks. And Nick Shirley just thought this was the coolest system he'd ever seen in his life. What a great prison system this all is. It's so cool. It was genuinely one of the most disturbing things I've ever covered. I would highly recommend you guys go and check it out. If you just search CCOT on my channel, it's one of the first videos that'll pop up. All right. But seeing somebody say that Nick Shirley would embody them as a media personality is genuinely one of the most insane things I've ever seen in my life. Who's heard of Nick Fuentes? Just over half of the participants, 13, put their hands up. What do you think of him? Brian Wrestler, thank you for being a member. I think it's hilarious. I agree with a lot of his points. He definitely doesn't care about how it's going to be reacted to, which is funny because he absolutely does care about how his content is reacted to. The secret is, guys, when you're a Nazi, they don't care if you call them a Nazi. And Nick Fuentes is a Nazi.
Serious and stop calling Nick Shirley.
But that's his name. Sake Tanuki, thank you for the 2 tier 1 subs and the airplane bit. But the one thing Nazis do care about is like holding on to some idea of masculinity, because that's like the high ground upon which they try and dictate to the rest of society. And one of the things that is really holding Nick Fuentes back is that he's gay. And I'm not saying that just to say it, and I'm not saying that because it's an effective thing to say to damage a Nazi's reputation in the year of our Lord 2025. I'm saying that because he's literally gone on dates with femboys. So, and he's also talked openly about how he's repulsed at the idea of having sex with a woman. So, you know, I'm just putting a couple very obvious dots together here. Yeah, he literally dated a catboy on a live stream. Yes, a Nazi catboy. True. But again, anyone who's associating with Nick Fuentes is a Nazi. And anyone in this panel that is talking about how they love and agree with Nick Fuentes, I just want you guys to understand they are also Nazis. And this is not just me saying, raw, Republicans are Nazis, I'm painting with a broad brush. No, I mean, like, literally, Nick Fuentes doesn't think the Holocaust is real. I'm talking, literally, Nick Fuentes thinks Hitler was a great guy. Like, this isn't hyperbole. This is literally, he's a Nazi. And the guys who like him agree with him are also Nazis. Like, I'm sorry, you can't see the guy Sieg Heiling and go, oh, that guy? I agree with that guy, and then be upset when you're called a Nazi. Something Elon Musk. Anyway, I agree with a lot of his points. He definitely doesn't care about how it's going to be reacted to, which I respect. But I also think it can be kind of dangerous. I think I read earlier that he's not ever planning on running for political office, which I think is probably a good thing. There's a lot of baggage attached to him. I just think he's funny, honestly. And through that humor, he says a lot of things that I kind of align with. Yeah, this is like being...
As always, thank you for all you do.
Liliana
I hope
Young.
you have a wonderful holiday, sister.
Thank you for the $20 dono. But I just want to say, this is like watching Joseph Goebbels give like a radio interview and being like, you know, I'm glad that guy is never going to run to be Führer, but you know, he is pretty funny and I agree with most of his points. Like, what the hell? What is wrong with you? He said that all blacks should be in jail on Piers Morgan, and I was like, oh my god, this guy's kind of a psycho. Yeah, only a little bit, but he's so funny though. At its core, I believe a lot of what he says, but I think the delivery is kind of poor. Like, again, their objection isn't to the fact that he's a Nazi, who believes the things Nazis believe. Their objection is, well, he's kind of mean about it. Like, why can't we get a nice Nazi? Like, I'm sorry, like, my main problem with him is that he goose steps on the flower beds. And not the fact that he hates Jews or that he thinks like anyone who's not white is like a lesser kind of human being or even a non-human. But it's the problem is that where he's goose stepping is really inconvenient for me. Like, their problem is like, why can't the Nazis be a little more palatable? It's crazy. I dig him. He knows his market. He's not trying to please everybody. He's definitely going after more of the shock value with some of his stuff. But as far as general beliefs or values, I sort of agree. like, again, okay, like, Nick Fuentes is a Nazi, guys. Just straight up. Like, dude has his own page on the Southern Poverty Law Center. Like, he's a Nazi-ass Nazi. In his own words. I'm not making overtures to sexist men. I am a sexist man. I'm just like Hitler. America, for what it's worth, was founded by white Christians. It wasn't. Just as an FYI. It was not founded by Jewish people. It was not founded by Judeo-Christians. It was founded by white Christians. And again, as a point of historical accuracy, it was not founded by white Christians. Specifically founded by white deists and some religious folks and some non-religious folks. And white Christians are in the majority. Christianity is the religion of this nation, not Judaism, not the Talmud, not that stuff. Also, Christianity is not the religion of this nation either. Like, this is what I mean. Like, he's just a fucking liar and a charlatan who lies in the service of spreading hatred because he's a fucking Nazi. Steve Bannon is the fat arsler that goes on these shows and says, we're going to have African Americans voting 50% for Republicans, and we're going to flood the zone with N-word votes. That's like, literally, he goes on the shows and says that. That one slipped out. That was in 2022, by the way, not that long ago. You can call us racists, white supremacists, Nazis, and bigots. You can disavow us on social media from your cushy campus reform job, but you will not replace us, the rootless transnational elite that knows that a tidal wave of white identity is coming, and they know that once the word gets out, they will not be able to stop us. The fire rises, he writes. He also, in a now-deleted broadcast, said, we can't play this game of we disavow white supremacy. Notice how the claws come out. All these pussies. Frankly, and again, sorry for the language, but that's what it is. People like, who's this Matt Walsh guy? Total F-slur pussy. And he's always like this. When a white person does a shooting, suddenly he's a big tough guy. Matt Walsh, Shabbos Goy race traitor. That's what it is, folks. I know some people don't like to use that expression, but it's totally true. Throwing his own people under the bus. He hates white people. Nobody else talks like that about their own people except for white people, and it's gross. Okay, keep typing on twitter.com, F-slur, pussy, race traitor. You work for the Jews, you know. So, just, again, this is the guy that they're all saying, yeah, I kind of agree. I agree with his views. He's just a little uncouth. Wait, this is an actual quote? Yes, this is an actual quote from Nick Fuentes from 2019. But let's continue. Personally, I think a lot of the time he's just joking. And this is what I mean, by the way. I know I'm being a real pause champ right now, but this is what I mean. When I talk about in these Nazi circles, everything is just a joke until suddenly it's not. This is how they onboard more folks and get like kind of those edgy, impressionable kids to like join up with the neo-Nazi movements. It's because online they post about it. Oh, no, I don't actually hate Jews. I'm just joking. Haha. Oh, no. See, it's all just jokes. It's just jokes. It's not anything serious. Haha. But then suddenly they aren't joking anymore. Suddenly they do mean it seriously. And suddenly there have been so many jokes that you just kind of believe it and accept it. You stop questioning it. It just becomes normal, right? And Andrew was one of the people at the beginning of this that was listed as like a guy who likes Nick Fuentes, right? And again, this is how they do it. Oh, I think it's just joking. Haha, he says a lot of things for shock value and notoriety. He does collaborations with black people. Like, dude, we're literally doing the he has black friends, except it's not even black friends. He has black colleagues. He has black colleagues. It's insane. I think Nick Fuentes is very dangerous for our side of things. Thanks, Bryce. I think being too radical pushes people away and makes them look for truth elsewhere. Andrew says, I would just disagree. As far as Fuentes is concerned, I feel like his viewpoints would have been mainstream not that long ago. If he's saying something like most women want to be raped, well, 50 Shades of Grey sells like hotcakes to women, so I feel like that's just a fact. And Andrew, how old are you? 50 Shades of... When did that come out? Didn't that come out 15 years ago? Andrew, wouldn't you have been like 10?
He has clandestine friends.
The 50 Shades of Grey book came out in 2011. I was fucking spot on. The movie came out a couple years later, but like, damn. Andrew's 20. Yeah, so I'm sorry, Andrew. 50 Shades came out when you were like in diapers, all right? And number two, just, you can do that in the diapers. But number three, there's a big difference between women reading like a steamy sex fantasy, and we can nitpick the fucking problems in 50 Shades of Grey anytime. I'm totally down. But that's not what you guys come here for. Otherwise, I would totally do it. But women reading 50 Shades of Grey is not an indicator that women want to be raped. Consensual, like BDSM is not rape because of the consent. I feel like I shouldn't have to really spell that out, but apparently Nick Fuentes viewers just can't really understand, can't really wrap their head around that. I think he reminds me of the Andrew Tate Republican Party, where he's really good at addressing a common problem, but the solutions aren't the solutions to go by. So I think a lot of people can relate to what he's saying because he's going, oh, this is a problem. And then he's trying to offer a solution that doesn't fit. I'm sorry, the Andrew Tate Republican Party? I want Colin to just go off for like 30 minutes on what that is. It's brain rot and misinformation too? Hell yeah, Jaden.
I'm glad I grew up with 50 Shades of Grey Delisle.
Sake Tanuki, thank you for the 2 tier 1 subs. Also, who wants to get married and have babies? Potentially. I'm a Christian, and no offense to any women here, but there's not a ton of good traditional women out there, Christian women out there. Yeah, 100%. There's no modesty. I mean, they're walking out in bras and fucking underwear. Okay, hear me out. Does forcing women to dress more conservatively make them more conservative? Like, if you force women to wear more conservative clothing, does that make them more conservative? No, it does not. All it is a brute exercise of power. And like, my question is, if you are truly like a conservative man and you're out there and you're looking for a conservative lady, why would you want like women who want to dress like that to pretend to be someone you're interested in? That seems like a colossal waste of your time, right? Like, why would you, like, if the pool of people you're interested in is already small, how is forcing women to comport with your standards of, like, dress going to help you find someone who's actually going to be a good partner for you in, like, this conservative lifestyle you want to live out? How's that going to help you to, like, just fill your dating pool with women who would much rather be wearing literally anything else? I don't know, just think about your life choices and your stances for like 5 goddamn seconds. Your mistake is imagining they can think of women as people. Yeah, but also the next 3 people to talk in this are women. And they're like, yeah, 100% there's no modesty. I mean, they're walking in bras and fucking underwear. Lauren, cover it up. Sophie, well, I think that modesty is a virtue, but even modesty aside, I think if you look at the heart, you look at the values. People are not heavily leaning towards settling down, finding someone to build a life with. And maybe it's because we live in Nashville and around Nashville. Everyone has Peter Pan syndrome. Nashville is crazy. Like, what? Oh, there are bigger cities than Nashville, okay? Like, Nashville is locally a big deal. Like, it's not one of the largest cities in the country.
Also go forth and multiply.
Cover it up, also go forth and multiply. Yeah, you Madonnas and you whores. Get out there. It was the worst part of growing up religious. I could have had so many friends but didn't get to because they were women. Yeah, I mean, like, that's the thing. Like, religious conservatism robs both men and women of the ability to, like, develop healthy friendships with one another. And it's really sad. You will get effectively barred from half the population of the planet. L Dogman, I think you're in the wrong chat for this particular type of stance. Because again, this is not a pro-Trump stream.
They'd be all too comfortable in the man-milking future they all claim to fear.
Indeed. Like, every single one of them is Jordan Peterson posting the goddamn, like, Asian man-milking video, thinking that this is the future the Chinese are gonna give you if they take over. It's genuinely crazy. Like, they live in a world of delusion, these, like, Republican Nazi-adjacent weirdos. How's the dating market? You go on great dates, and then it ends after, like, 5 months. No one wants to stick through the uneven phase. Okay, just real quick. So, not to, like, brag or anything, but if you find someone that you love and you're dating, there's not necessarily an uneven phase. I feel like people talk about uneven phases when, like, either the person that they've been interested in begins, like, being truly themselves in a way that, like, just doesn't, like, combine well with your life. But I also think that a lot of guys can default to, oh yeah, no, we're just going through a phase where we fight a lot. And, like, that might be, like, cause for some soul searching. That might be a you problem. You know, like, did you expect her to do all the laundry and the dishwashing and, like, the housework? Did you expect, like, what were your expectations? Did you think that she was gonna be your new mom? Because there are a lot of guys out there who go into a relationship and are like, okay, I'm the man and I provide for the house, and you're the woman and you also provide for the house, but then also have to cook and clean and, you know, pick up my poo-poo. Like, I'm just saying, if you're in a good relationship, the uneven phase isn't a problem. Because I've been with my partner for years and we just love each other. Like, we just love each other. Like, every bit of each other. And yeah, exactly, Amber Brains. 5 months is when people start dropping their ability to, like, mask being, like, a different, more acceptable kind of person. Let's see. I go to a lot of weddings. I was invited to a wedding last year and it was too early, so I slept in and skipped it. Well, I'm not into the dating scene, but I do believe it's hard to find someone. I know a lot of guys who are pretty successful, who are in pretty good shape and successful, and they have a hard time finding a good Christian woman. I'm successful. I do pretty well. I make almost $100,000. I'm only 20 years old, so this isn't a top of mind concern for me. But I don't see a lot of good Christian women. I see a lot of tattoos. I don't like that. And I see a lot of promiscuity with women, and I don't like that either. I see a lot of feminism too. A lot of bossy women. I look at my mother, I see a very traditional conservative woman, and I don't see that in other women around. And goddamn, Andrew, you can't fuck your mom. Stop it. Stop it. Like, when I say some of these guys are looking for another mom, I do mean that. Like, in almost the full meaning of the word. What do the women here think about feminism? Hate it, and it shouldn't be here. I think true feminism could work. Should women be able to vote? Yes, But should we be demoralizing ourselves as women and our true values? I used to work, and now I'm a stay-at-home mom. There was a time where that was really frowned upon. No. There has never been a moment where being a stay-at-home mom has been frowned upon and demonized. There has never been a moment
Soundboard?
where that has happened. Okay? There was a cultural push for women to get into the workforce and to do well in their careers because, hey, guess what? It was hard to do that as a woman. But it was never like a thing where people were like, oh, you're staying at home and raising kids? Wow, what a failure you are. Like, no, everyone is like, oh, yeah, shit, that's hard as shit. That's really, it's like one of the hardest things you can do, actually. Also, Sake Tanuki, what is this?
I'm Michael Jordan. Stop it. Get some help.
Honestly, we should add that to the soundboard. I agree. Does anyone think women should not be allowed to vote? Only Andrew raises his hand. You know, Andrew, the guy who was just complaining about the lack of good Christian women around that want to date successful conservative men. Gee, Andrew, I wonder why women wouldn't want to date you when you think they deserve less rights than you. I would have thought that would have been an incredibly attractive quality. I love it when people dehumanize me. It's cool. I just feel like women are very emotional and that politics is a man's discipline. I seriously believe it. My mother actually believes this too. It's the second time you've talked about your mother, Andrew. You can't fuck your mom. You can't fuck your mom. Anyway, I just feel like I've never really seen a woman who truly understands politics. Yeah. What woman could ever understand politics? What woman would ever dedicate an hour plus of her life reading through your responses in this political panel to try and discern how cooked your generation of conservatives are? And like, yeah, how could that, who could possibly do that? No woman could do that. Yeah, that might be your issue with finding a good quality girl. Have you ever thought about the fact that a woman's emotions are a beautiful thing, and that they might complement a man? And that yes, maybe we make different decisions because of emotions, but if it were just men, there would be no reasoning? I think it's a beautiful thing to have both sides. And like, can I just... Sophie, brilliant idea to point out that his rampant hatred of women is why he's having trouble finding a girl. That is correct. But you kind of slipped on the landing there, where you start talking about how women intrinsically have different emotions and reasoning capacity compared to men, because that's exactly what the kinds of those are exactly the kinds of things that the guys who hate women and think women shouldn't be allowed to vote base their ideas on. You are also partaking of the same misogyny that Andrew is partaking in. You're just coming at it from a "but this affects me" perspective. Like, this is part of the problem with treating men and women like they're inherently different creatures. When we're not, we're just not. Scared imagining what these people are going to be in 10 to 20 years? Same. No, I don't agree with Andrew on this. Yes, women are more emotional, but the policies affect them too. We exist as one, just as we do in marriage. I don't think it aligns with politics. I think politics is a different discipline than what the female mind is designed for. Jesus Christ. Like, I know that like this is a roller coaster. I know we're spending an inordinate amount of time on this, but like genuinely, I think it might be worth it. Is there a presumption that guys don't have emotions? Josh sees in the conservative worldview that is often inculcated by, Protestant and Catholic religion, the idea is that men are logical and represent a completely unique pairing. And they must be paired with the emotional of woman. And it is only by bringing the logical and the emotional together that they truly become a whole being. And so the idea in conservative circles is that men have the logic brain, and while they may experience emotions, those emotions are to a far lesser degree than women who are in tune with, nature or whatever the fuck. But that is the other thing, Ashley. Ashley at SMR, 100% correct. Apparently rage isn't an emotion, only crying is an emotion. That's exactly how they think, right? Because despite the idea that men are the logical ones in conservative circles, it is totally acceptable for men to express rage and violence, because those are the purview
we all yearn for a
of logic
trans-inclusive misandrist
in their
future.
world.
Trans men are men, and should be paying the bill at the end of dinner.
Nah, split the bill. Split it! We will cut the bill in twain. Lesbians eat free? Hell yeah. Don't conservatives shame men that are emotional because of toxic masculinity? Conservatives shame men who cry. If men cry because they're happy, or cry because they're sad, or cry because they are injured, conservatives shame them. If men are angry and express themselves through violence, conservatives will defend them just about as far as you can go. Like, anger, rage, violence, these things are acceptable in the conservative worldview of what is acceptable for a man. And at the same time, we'll say that men are rational, logical creatures and that women are incapable of acting in that way. Yeah, you have entire generations of men who are like, I never saw my dad cry except at my mom's funeral. That was the one time. He shed one tear, and then he hid it from me. It's crazy. Just gonna skip through this. Do you own any stocks? Don't care.
I can't make it through Up, and I'm still considered more successful than most of the people in this article.
Hell yeah. Up is such a great movie. What is broken in the American economy? Healthcare. Agree with that 100%. Can't pay for insurance. Yeah, I don't have insurance. I've been in hospitalizations. I don't think that guy, Luigi Mangione, went about it the right way, but I can see what his frustrations were. I think it's really disgusting how a lot of people on the left celebrated that, like they did with Charlie Kirk. I thought the left's reaction was pretty gross. Capitalism as a system as a whole is significantly better than other economic systems. For example, socialism, which a lot of our peers would probably advocate for on the left-leaning side. I think it just simply doesn't work. Despite the fact that America is one of the only advanced nations to not have socialized medicine. But this is, by the way, why you have Bernie, people who voted for Bernie Sanders who then vote for Trump. Like, healthcare is a huge issue. It is a huge working class issue. And it is one of those issues that can be used to bring about like a large scale change of our society, if we have a candidate that is willing to run on it. So help me radicalize your local Dems. Show up to your local Dem meetings. Show up to your local, DSA
Brian
meetings.
Thompson.
Oh no. Stop it. Sake, thank you for the 2 tier 1 subs. So, yeah, healthcare just has a very resonant message to it. All right, we're going to finish on this one because it continues going, but what do you think of Adolf Hitler? I think he was a great leader, to be honest. I think what he was going for was terrible, but I think he showed very strong leadership values. Hey guys, remember when I said Republicans are just Nazis now? Remember when I said that? I'm in favor of a strong executive. Okay, I'm gonna stop you right there, Andrew. If someone asks you what you think about Hitler and your opening comment is that you are in favor of a strong executive, you might be a Nazi. I think we should have a stronger executive branch. I don't think we should be killing people or doing mass genocide. obviously. But I do think we should have a strong executive. I feel like one of the biggest problems Trump is running into right now is all these little courts. They want to throw up the little blockages against everything he's trying to do, whether it be his tariffs or deporting people. Oh yeah, that pesky little thing called the law. Yeah, these little courts with their little laws based on this thing called the Constitution. I just really like a strong executive. Also, interesting that Andrew, when asked about Hitler, says, I think we should have a strong executive, and then immediately talks about Donald Trump. I think that's pretty telling, isn't it? So I'm very pro strong executive, strong leader, strong man. Uh-huh. I support national sovereignty, and Hitler was a nationalist. He was like, we have to take Germany back for the Germans, and I feel like we should do that in America. We should take America back for our native population. So I'm not an expert on Hitler by any means, but as far as nationalism is concerned, I'm all that. You know, I wasn't expecting in this article to find, someone fighting the colonial forces. I wasn't expecting someone here to be for land back on a mass scale never before seen. You know, I didn't expect Andrew of all people to be fighting to give lands back to the original inhabitants of this continent. Except, oh yeah, no, of course he thinks that by Native Americans, he's talking about white people. To the tribes? No, he's talking about doing like a ethnic cleansing. And he starts out not doing killing people or mass genocide, obviously, but then he talks about taking back the country for our native population, which would entail killing people, ethnic cleansing, genocide, etc. You know, cool. Andrew, I think I'm seeing why you're having problems in the dating scene. Also, maybe you should become a little bit more of an expert on Hitler. You know, maybe do a little bit of reading on that. How did that go for him in the strong executive branch of Nazi Germany? I myself am actually Jewish ancestrally. I'm Christian by faith, but Jewish by blood. I've actually read Mein Kampf. The end conclusions that he came to, absolutely abominable. But I strangely understood where he was coming from as far as wanting to improve the national state of Germany. Oh, guys, if you're in my chat and you are Gen Z, please tell me your generation isn't this cooked. Please tell me your generation isn't so cooked that you have people reading Mein Kampf who are of Jewish descent saying that they understood where Hitler was coming from? No. Stop it. Answer for your countrymen. He made all those people suffer, and I want to do ungodly things to people who do things like that. Lauren, thank God. Thank God. What do you think of Jewish people? Oh my God. Okay, we have to do this one. They've got Hollywood on lock. Don't they own like a ton of media and like just kind of everything? Oh my God, you guys, they're fucking doing the Jewish questioning from 4chan. Good fucking God. No different than black people, Asian people, or any other people here today. I don't really know why there's a single issue about Jewish people. Good job, Bryce. I would say a force for evil. I don't see why we support Israel. I think Israel's a very evil state. The genocide in Gaza, killing all these poor people, and the only reason we really support them is because they are the biggest donors. We have AIPAC, and all these are all Jewish-run organizations. There's a big difference between a nation state and a religious group, Andrew. By the way, when you see people conflating Judaism and, like, Israel, this is why it's an anti-Semitic idea. All right? Doing that conflation.
This isn't even the Jewish question, it's the Jewish answer.
Ay. And the moderator at this point is just so stunned that they go, let me clarify that. Andrew, you think the Jewish people are a force for evil? Andrew, yes, sir. It doesn't bother me if it's true. Those slurs, if you're racist or whatever, that just rolls off my back. This is my country. My people have been here since the American Revolution. So I say what I want to. Yeah, like, no one's saying you can't say that, Andrew. But it might be why you're gonna grow up to be an incredibly lonely man. Andrew is a Nazi? That's the secret, Dr. Hayes. They have every single person on this panel, almost to a man or to a woman, has accepted some degree of Nazi belief. It's why they're here, and it's why they're answering the way they are. Right? Maybe, and I'm going to say maybe one person on this panel is free of like Nazi ideology and is just, you know, a conservative for other reasons. And that is, if you will all recall, at the very beginning of this, Addie, the 18-year-old Hispanic Baptist Republican woman attending college, who considers herself very right-wing but did not vote in the 2024 election, Addie walked out during the middle of the group. You know, that's really the only reasonable reaction you can have here, is to not dignify this with a response. Wonder what made her leave. Yeah, who could tell? Yeah, no one knows. It's a gigantic mystery. Anyway, read the rest of this because it is highly illuminating regarding Gen Z's conservative politics. And I mean, I think for my part, this validates why I do what I do, why I make content pushing back on conservative ideas and conservative ideology, why I spend time focusing on people like Matt Walsh and Michael Knowles, and why I made a bunch of videos about Charlie Kirk and all these liars and thieves and grifters and peddlers of misinformation and propagandists. It's because there are real people who watch that content and get radicalized by it. And then they go out into the world and they try to interact with other people as if they've gotten actual real information, and the result is insanity. Like, this is... I feel pretty confident in saying right now that the war within the Republican Party that is currently taking place and kind of encapsulated by the conflict that happened over the weekend at Turning Point USA, that conflict is about whether or not Nazis can be allowed to be openly involved with Republican politics as Nazis, or if they need to remain in the shadows. It is a question of, can your bigotry be overt or covert?
Andrew legitimately feels like a Jubilee character.
They all feel like Jubilee characters. It's insane. So, I don't know. I guess I just kind of have to stick by my thesis here. The Republican Party is just becoming Nazis. That's it, really. And, I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments. And also, folks, join your local DSA, radicalize your local Dems, because we need a progressive working class revolution here in this country. We need to build up our power as working class folks. We need to get things like Medicare for all. We need to get housing for all. We need to make sure every man, woman, and child can have enough food in this country, can have heat in this country, can have a livable temperature in this country, maybe would be a better way of saying it. And the only way we get that is by organizing en masse. So if you need help joining your local Dems to radicalize them, join our Discord, reach out to GamerG. Reach out to Dragonfly for radicalizing your local Dems. You want to join your local DSA, reach out to GamerG in our Discord. Both have dedicated their time and effort to helping you connect with your local Dems and radicalize them, and connect with your local DSA and make them more effective, like New York DSA that got Zoran Mamdani elected. Let's get policies that actually lift all of us up on the books. And folks, Last but not least, please check out ImogeneOlivia.com. Gender euphoric lingerie designed from the ground up for trans femmes, also tested with cis men, cis women, non-binary folks. It is non-tuck lingerie. Check it out, ImogeneOlivia.com. Link should be down in the description. And let's keep on going.
Riverboat Jack is going to town. All the viewers gather round. Twitch and YouTube is where she streams. All that content is bursting the seams. Politics, gaming, plenty more. Her sense of fashion you'll adore. So grab your stuff and hop aboard. We're going straight to Jack's Discord.